Hi everyone, welcome back to another scrapbook process and welcome back to another month of Mad About Mini Paper Pads. What I'm showing you here really quick, just kind of quickly showing you, I bought this Pink and Main kit. It was a card kit and I've had it for a couple years now, I want to say. I think I want to say also that I got the 6x6 pad along with the card kit. So just in case you are interested in this, I don't know if it's still available or anything like that, but I definitely had a lot of 6x6 papers, so I'm pretty sure I got the 6x6 pad with it. But it had some really cute little icons. You will see, if you didn't see them in the beginning, you will see they squirrels and just things that are totally up my alley. And I really thought, hey, even though it was a card kit, I kind of wanted to play with it and see what I could do with it. And I really like it. I do believe that this is the only layout that I'm going to do with it. I might have kept some of the papers. The papers do have that little bit of shiny. I know some people don't like that. And then I'm going to also say, right, of course, right as I start this voiceover, the people working in the front yard are going to, not the front yard, but the street in front of my house, are going to start up their noisiness, which it's been quiet, but unfortunately, I really hope you guys don't hear it very much, but I've got to get this done by this weekend. So um, anyways, I am going to be following a sketch by Allison Davis. It's one of her 6x6 ones. It was paid content, so I cannot share the sketch, but any of her 6x6 sketch bundles or sketches singular would be perfect if you are following along with smaller papers. And I am going to be doing a double page for this month. This is the first month that I'm going to be doing a double page for the Mad About mini paper pads. And there is a lot you can do as far as a double page with mini paper pads. So don't feel like it has to always be a single page. Anyways, I really love how this layout turned out. It's really cute. These are just pictures that we took. We just went out and this was 2020 when everything was closed, time to get out of the house. We went out and played and, looked for leaves and just kind of went for a walk basically. And I actually had more photos that I wanted to use, but I didn't end up using. But that was they were photos that don't really matter much. It was kind of when I first started really getting into taking different photos of different things, like, not just people, more like leaves and interesting things. So, anyways, my whole house is shaking right now. I hope you guys, I really hope that this doesn't interrupt this video because I also have to do a voiceover next uh, for the stretch the sketch. And yeah, of course they had to wait. Anyways, this part I'm adding on a little extra because I have these 4 photos that are going to go on the pattern papers that you just saw me put down. And I'm going to try to use my perfect layer rulers that are, sorry, there is a lot going on right now and I am trying to stay focused on this project. But anyways, I started trying out my perfect layer rulers that are the full 12-inch. They're older. I messed them up. I usually take that paper clip off, but I was just being lazy and wanted to get this layout done. And because I didn't take it off, it made it a little wonky. And then I ended up cutting this with such a small border that it probably basically you don't even see it. So it was kind of a waste of time, I want to say, but it's okay. It does have a tiny bit of brown around it. So I'm going to line it up with the 4 squares that are on there. And I believe those 4 squares that are on there are 5x5. And then the photos are 4x4. Another thing I'm going to do, which I'm going to do off camera, which you can see now, is I am going to sew around just the photos. That I can't remember if that was on the sketch or not, but if you've been watching me, I've kind of really been getting into the sewing. Now, the other thing that I kind of noticed after I had everything glued down and sewed down, there was no fixing, is that pattern paper. that has all the different icons and the animals on it. If you look at it, it looks like I totally glued it on sideways, when in reality, everything's facing different ways. It's just the way that it landed in the parts that you can see. Um, it looks like I have it sideways, but I'm not going to let it bother me. I left it the way it was and called it good. So now there are 3 pattern papers that are going to go along on the left-hand page. So I was just looking for different colors. I really wanted to use not only different colors, but different patterns. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think it's only 2, not 3. Um, I wanted to use different patterns, like everyone have a different pattern, but every one that I picked out, it just really I wasn't feeling it. So I do believe that I used this wood grain. And also because I knew the sketch called for the title to go on top of that wood grain piece, or the left-hand square on the left-hand page. So I wanted to put a pattern paper there that was not going to be super busy, so that the title didn't get lost. Now you're going to see I'm going to kind of change my title idea in a moment. So you'll kind of see how that turns out. But yeah, I just thought I would mention that. And then there are a bunch of squares that are going to go underneath these pattern papers on this side. I did have a question asked one time about why I do both glues, the dry glue and the wet glue. I can't remember if I've answered it or not, so I'll just shout out really quick, or not shout out, but just say really quick that number one, I've had so many pages in the past that I've noticed falling apart that I'm totally for adding extra glue. But I also found 3 bottles of glue. So I basically had like a total of 4 or 5 bottles of glue sitting around, and I didn't want any of them to go bad. So I figured it can't hurt to add extra glue. It can hurt to not add enough, but it can't hurt to have extra, right? So that is kind of my thought on that. And I'm also adding this stripe strip. It does call for this stripe strip on this piece on the sketch. It does not call for the stripe strips on the very right hand side. I cannot remember at this point. I did this layout a few weeks ago and I can't remember, but my plan was to add the stripe strips to the very right hand side to kind of bring over all of that, that stripe, that pattern, all the colors, etc. So that's why I have those other little pieces cut there. And it doesn't bother me to have like 2 pieces of paper that are shorter butted up against each other to make a full bigger strip. If that's something that bothers you, then you can just skip that step if you were to follow along. But here I realized I was either missing a picture, which I never came across that picture again, so I must just have miscounted. But I decided to go ahead and play around and add in some pattern paper. And a lot of these pieces here that you see are actually from the card kit. So when you get a card, I've never bought a card kit from them before. And to be honest with you, I didn't even put the cards together. It went into my D-stash box along with the 6x6 papers that were left over. I just wasn't feeling it. You guys know me. I'm trying to move stuff out of my scrap room. In fact, I actually just went through a bunch of my one and done collections that I have ready for that. And I am going to, and I like wrote down what pictures would go for each one. And so I'm kind of excited to get to work on those as well. But, oh, sorry about that. Sorry, stop. Uh, oh, it's been a very busy week. But my son does come home from college for at least a few days before he's off to work for the summer. But we are getting there as far as, I know a lot of you have kids that are out of school already. Mine do not finish until, well, one will be done this week. One will be done this coming week after this video goes up. And so I'm ready for some summertime, definitely. Anyways, back to the page. What I decided to do was I just kind of, at first I had omitted some of the pictures that I had planned for this little area down here. And I do end up going back after the video is off at the very end. You will see it in the still shot photos, I believe. But I ended up adding a couple extra on top of the patterned papers just to give it a little something more. But so in place of the pictures, I'm just cutting up some of the patterned papers and bringing them over. And then it actually, I I like it. I feel like it kind of brings over the fact that I used that brown pattern in a couple different places. So now I'm pulling over, like I pulled over the green, so it's being used in a couple places. I'm bringing over this little critter one, which again, I tried to glue down so it looked like the critters were not completely upside down. But I think once I have another picture or whatever I put on it, it still looks like they're kind of upside down. But you can see why I liked this little kit because, I mean, these critters are super cute. Actually, I bet you I have some dies for little, I know I have squirrel dies because I've used them in a layout before. That would have been, I could have probably used the pattern papers and made some of my own dies, but it is what it is. And I am done with this collection after this layout, so I'm not even going to worry about it. Now, the part of what the sketch called for was 2 photos up by the title where I just had those photos, but those are the photos I'm going to end up sticking down below on the smaller. I do cut them a little smaller so there's a little border, and I'm going to, like I said, do my own thing kind of with the title. Now what I'm looking for is I knew there was some kind of pieces like these circle pieces, and I thought that they would make good bases for my clusters. And I'm figuring a cluster over here on the very right hand side, a cluster over around the title, and then a cluster on the left hand side kind of on the bottom. And then when I came across this piece here, this again came in the card kit, not the 6x6 pad. I decided to go ahead and use this instead of the 2 stripe strips that I was going to originally use, because it brings over that stripe and it's enough to, it kind of gives a little bit of interest, the wonky shape of it. So I'm just taking these, all of these little pieces did come in the card kit, so you can see why I was drawn to the kit. And trying to play around, I really wanted to use this owl sitting on the little tree stump there, and then there was another tree stump. So kind of what I'm doing in each cluster, I don't think that I added one in the title cluster, but you can see I took one of the circles, or 2 different circles from the card kit, and put them one on each side to kind of like, again, a base layer for my clusters. And then I'm adding the little critters on top, and then each little cluster is going to have some trees. Now, to play around with the different colors of trees so that the trees are even, I do cut up that cluster of 3 trees. So that is one ephemera piece that is currently up in the middle part by where the title's going to go. But there was a couple different reasons why I wanted to kind of place the trees in different areas. The biggest reason being the color. I wanted to bring the colors around. There's the fox, it is kind of that reddish color. You can see the tree there in the middle kind of has a reddish color. And then that pattern paper is all on the left. So I do want to bring some of that over to the right hand side. And then the shape of the tree as well had more to do with it. I also think that whatever tree that I wanted to add to the very left-hand cluster, the only other single tree that was left over was a color that I didn't like. So, not that I didn't like it. Okay, let me rephrase that. That didn't look good by the fox because I think it was just too similar to the same color as the fox. And also, I have the blue circle over in the cluster on the right, the blue pattern paper there in the middle, and nothing blue over by the fox other than his scarf. That would be enough normally, but I did just kind of want to add a little bit more of that blue. So I wasn't afraid to cut apart the pieces. One of the trees looks a little wonky, but it really, it kind of, it gets hidden enough and you don't really notice. So what I ended up doing with my title is I came across these foam thickers. What do they call these? I can't remember. Foam title words by Simple Stories, which I'm kind of loving lately because they're making title work really easy. So I decided to go ahead and use this one that says fall, and the colors look really good. I would say that the only thing on that title, yeah, I'm sorry, I hope you guys can't notice that noise. My whole desk is starting to shake now. But the only thing that really doesn't work on the word fall is that A. It's more pink, which is why I kind of brought in that pinkish type tree, even though it's still a different pink color. But you don't really notice it once everything's down because there's so many different colors, and it's very similar to other colors, you know, like the skin color of the squirrels and so on. So it actually really worked, and I was really happy. And I do add the words a walk in fall or some kind of little words. I can't, they were just word stickers that I found in my color binders and called it good. So um yeah, and then I'm going to change my clusters. So I did add that owl to, oh my gosh, you guys, I am so sorry. Um, I hope this is okay. I really do apologize if this is so noisy for you guys. But um, I'm going to add the trees above the word fall, and then I added the owl next to it. And in between that space to the right of the trees and above the owl, I'm going to do journaling strips. And I don't show the journaling strips on camera, but I do believe they are in the still shot photos in the end. And then I'm going to work on this cluster over here. And you will notice that as I'm building these clusters, I am using foam tape, different widths of foam tape. I've kind of been into the whole using thin foam tape versus a little bit thicker foam tape. So I don't know if you can tell with the squirrels on the right hand side, but they are sticking up more. So that tree, the yellow tree on the very right hand cluster, is sticking up on foam tape, but I added double the foam tape to the squirrels, so they're sticking up a little bit more than that as well. Um, so kind of the same thing is going to happen over here in the left-hand cluster. And I kind of did the same thing with the word fall. It's a thick foam as it is. So, you know, the trees and the trees, two of the trees, the green and the pink, are flat to the page. And that orange tree is using the thin foam. So it will, it's you know, again, different layers. Sorry, this is like, I feel like this is one of the worst voiceovers, and I apologize. I'm really trying to stay on task, but every time the truck's vibrating and everything, uh I'm trying, guys. It's been kind of chaotic in my world is all I'll say. I know I haven't had any videos up. I feel horrible about it. Trying to do stuff, just been busy, and yeah, anyways, so I'm going through and just trying to see if there's anywhere else I could add clusters. You know, I have these cute little critters left over, so why not? Um, I do believe I end up adding this tree and this squirrel to the left of the word fall. It just kind of makes it look like a whole big scene. And in my opinion, you can never have too many cute squirrels on your page. Another thing that I do add to the page is I go through my enamel dots that I have mentioned that I'm trying to use up for the year, and I'm going to add a couple of enamel dots into, they're weird shaped, weird colored. I think they're from Jelly Bean Soup. They've got polka dots, at least some of them, and I do add some enamel dots around. I did try to add the flowers. I really wanted to add the flowers. I love the way this flower looks tucked in over here on the right hand side, and that one is going to stay. I can't remember if I added flowers anywhere else. I was thinking at this time there is a very large flower cluster there. And I was thinking at this time I didn't really want to use that. First of all, there's nowhere really that I could have put it, but I was thinking I'd probably use it on another layout, which, like I mentioned, I put all this stuff to the side. And I tried using different leaves, just different, you know, anything that I could add to these. I just was having fun playing at this point. But I don't think that I do. I do add the two little leaves and the little flower that is over there by the fox on the very left-hand side. And it kind of mimics the little cluster, the flower cluster that's on the right-hand side. When I glue that cluster down, I do not add those two green spriggy things. They just, I don't like the way they look there. They didn't look as good as just having the flower. I think they just drew too much attention. Um, and then, oh, maybe I am going to add in a little cluster of leaves and flowers by the owl there. That way there is a little bit of leaves and a little bit of flowers in each area. And I know that the sizes, like those leaves being almost the same size as the tree, in reality, that's not how you would find it, but I don't care. They're pretty and they're cute. One thing I was looking for was a different colored flower to put by the fox. Since the tree is blue, I was hoping for a non-blue flower, which also I have the red one here that I just glued by the owl, but I knew the blue would not look good on that blue pattern by the blue owl. And the red one probably wouldn't look as good by the fox because it was the same color as the fox. So I went ahead and just left them the way they are. And I hope you guys like this layout. Please don't forget to check out the links that are below and follow along on this hop. Here you can see just the few enamel dots that I added and a little bit of a close-up of a couple of the clusters and some journaling. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I hope this wasn't too bad of a voiceover for you guys, and I will see you in the next video. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.